Hi there. So, we're here for the talk with Camille Ochoa about divine life partnerships, twin flame programs, and in the AI matrix, divine partnerships, mission mates, yeah. So, I'm going to, hi Erin, hi Amy. When Camille comes on, I'll share the screen because we got that to work earlier. That's cool. Finally got that to work. Hang on a second. So I'll kill time until she shows up. I had the best talk with Sarah Adams last night. If you don't know Sarah Adams, there we go. Sorry. Okay, yeah, Camille's awesome. Camille, there she is. Oh, you go lie down. No, I'm talking to everyone else right now. You walk away. All right, bring them on camera. All right, let's see. Add. Did it work? Adding? It says adding. I hope she comes on. We were able to do it before.
Okay.
Hey, we did it.
All right. We did it. Let me figure out how to set my phone down since I can't be on here with it rotated, which I was banking on.
Yeah.
There's a way. There's a way.
There's always a way.
There's always a way. Okay.
So
how
this
is that
is very
working
interesting though. About half my screen is, that's weird. All right. Well.
Volume.
So we really haven't planned too much for this. It's not like it's a little bit of the seat of the pants. But you and I had a brief conversation. You know all sorts of stuff. So for those of you who don't know Camille, she's one of my favorite. I shouldn't say that, but it's true. There are like I don't know, like I have met the most phenomenal people on Facebook. I feel so incredibly blessed. I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, she knows stuff. She really knows stuff. Like there are just light workers in different strata and different places in the field, and sometimes you connect with some and it's just like, wow, you're my tribe, and like I'm in awe. You're somebody I can really learn a lot from. So you've recently connected. You walk away. I don't even know how he got out of the room. Go away or I'm gonna have to put you in the bathroom. Sorry.
No problem.
So you've recently connected with a group of, what can you tell us about the, I'm like totally not a talk show host. What can you tell us about the group of people that you just recently connected with a group of people? And
yeah. So it's on a platform called Marco Polo. I had never heard of it before. It's some sort of like a group, it's called a group chat app where people can hop on and leave video messages about anything that the channel is that pertains to the particular channel. You can set up all these different channels on different things, and so you can hop on there into a channel, leave a video chat, and others can respond directly to that chat. I'm also like, I'm not trying to plug the app. Like, I'm not getting paid by the app, but I'm just trying to explain explain what it is. So anyways, this is a closed Marco Polo group. We have, like, the energetic signature name of the group is the Coco. So we call ourselves a Coco Polo group. And it's just been a really beautiful experience of connecting and making those sort of telepathic connections with a soul group. We're all aligned in our ideas of what our soul missions are. What our knowings of what our soul missions are.
Yeah.
And so therefore we're able to work together by connecting our energy. We're able to take each take a piece of it and work on it from our different talents and from our different perspectives. What we are very much connecting about and working on is sort of like healing the matrix and all of the distortion that has happened, and like all these old programs that are running that just aren't in the highest and best good now. They were for learning.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get that, but now it's just it's a different time. And so it's time to, we come at it from a very galactic perspective. There's a lot of galactic astrology that's being utilized. We come at it from a very technological sort of AI standpoint and understanding the programs as artificial intelligence structures. So we come at it from that angle. It is a group of spiritual light warriors, but we're not so much in the namaste yoga side of it, although we all love that side and we all have like a foot in that.
Yeah.
But this group is more about like, it's sort of an applied science type
Yes,
of group where we're
exactly.
taking all that and we're applying it in a strategic kind of way.
Well said. Yeah, yeah. Okay, because I work with a lot of people like that. So you and I had talked. Camille's also seen a lot of my my live streams. Hi, Maria, too. Yeah, and you know that like a lot of us connect. Like sometimes we connect in groups, and then also like we somehow we just kind of sniff each other out. We find each other like vibrational frequency. Like, oh, I'm gonna. Like, have you noticed? I'm sure you know that there are like these little mini missions, like little mini tasks that change. And it's like it's like we all seem to have like this like a main thrust of our own personalized mission that we're here to do. But then it's almost like dominoes. I always go back to the game Spot It, where like there are all these like Spot It is a card game where it has like 6 or 10 different images on it in various sizes, and it's kind of like going around and finding somebody else that has a mapping and like that's somebody else who has the same particular submission. You know, you work with somebody for a time and then it switches and it's all incredibly fluid and it's like this moving puzzle image, and as you change the people that you connect to, and you're with somebody for a time and it works. So you and I had talked briefly, like I probably should have figured out some kind of structure for this talk, and I don't have it at all. But you and I had talked briefly about the Twin Flames program, because like in my view anyway, there's like we're trying to get there's like this merge or a migration, at least from my standpoint. I'm looking at like there's like the matrix structure that's very AI dominant, but to my mind anyway, at least from my own perspective as it stands now, there are also genuine twin flames, but then there's like it's also a program. The way I understand it, there's a program, and not everybody is a genuine twin flame, but that doesn't mean that you're any better or worse. But it's like some are based in nature, but it's also merged with technology. You know,
Right.
What would you say about the AI program?
So from my perspective, this is what I've been getting. I've only been in this Coco Polo group since August 1st, so it's been a month. And since dipping in, well, actually like dunking myself in, I'm fully immersed. I've been getting all of these downloads. So now we've sort of created like an organic hive mind, not to be confused with the inorganic, like the hive mind that makes people lose and give up their
Yeah,
sovereignty,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but in a place of sovereignty, sort of connecting with the intelligence of all these other super powerful beings. And so what I've come to is that the way this was built is that there are organic beings whose energy fields are really massive, really broad, because there's been a level of mastery that has been attained. And so it sort of links in the idea that the wiser you get, the stronger you get, the more responsibilities you're given. So there are those who, and I think you would call that like the quote unquote true twin flame, where the energy field is massive. There is a massive mission. The mission is about unity. It's about oneness. It's about merging the masculine and feminine within the self, and then doing that on an externalized basis. And I see it as like the separation was like cellular division, where the cell divides
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it replicates and divides and like that. And so now in ascension, I see that as descension and individualization. And so with ascension, you're sort of merging the cells back together, up and up and up, layer after layer after layer. So it starts within the self. And then
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
continue to merge and merge and merge. And so that's what's going on in this broad energy field of these souls who have attained a certain level of mastery. And the reason for that energy field is for those other organic beings who are still working on mastery, who are here on the planet to go through the school. It gives them like something to tap into. It's like I'm seeing Finding Nemo with the turtle, and like you just got to find the current. It gives them a current to just like
Yes,
plop into and ride it. And so I
it's
think
a lot of help.
that's what I think what you would call the quote unquote echo twins. Again, it's no judgment. There's no judgment at all, because
Yeah,
you're exactly where you need to be. Either you're
yeah.
setting the current, giving space for others to hop in and ride through their learning, or you're hopping in and riding and learning and getting that mastery, so that you can be the one who holds that huge energy field that others ride.
Exactly, exactly. I was thinking about the geometrical issues of it yesterday. I was, I don't know, I was just kind of in the shower and thinking about geometry, and thinking also about ascension in terms of expansion, where like each individual is a one and a leader, but then your first job is to balance the masculine and feminine aspects of yourself and become your own mini gateway to one. But then what twin flames do, like genuine twin flames, have an energy field that's so big that we're holding. It's like you've got the 11, each individual is the 11, and then you've got your partner who's another 11, and then it provides this massive gateway. So it's like the savior figure, because we're all here like saving the planet, but we're moving from a place of the Piscean age, which was the era of the savior figure, but it's also the martyrdom savior. But we're moving into the Aquarian age, which is all about equality and community. So we're going from the one to the two as a collective, as a planet. So if you start with the one, the point of the triangle, and you're moving up to the two, the interesting thing is that if you're looking at, whatever that diagram is. Oh, I lost it. I'll find it later. If you imagine the diagram where it's like the savior figure is down here and you're going through this triangular gateway, all you have to do is like flip the triangle up. And I feel like each person goes through the gateway and takes all of their energy with them. And it's like they provide the expansion, because when the single person goes up through an 11 gateway, they are the third energy that provides the expansion. And it's like you become the portion of the triangle that allows for the three and allows for the shift. It's a greater shift. I explained that really badly, but I feel like that's what it is. There's a geometry to it. Anyway, so what about, I was thinking about mission too, in terms of like, yeah, twin flame missions. because it all changes. Like in my live streams, I've talked about that like each one of us has our own personal mission, but then you meet so often there'll be like this individual mission that you'll have with one person. It's like it's a task, it's a divine task, and it's like we're here to do something toward service to get the flow going in service to other people. And you'll meet one person and it becomes this little like mini mission, whether it's a genuine twin to you or not. It's like a task twin, like a mission twin toward this little purpose for whatever. For a short, it's usually like a short duration of time. It's so interesting because if you, it's like I bet that maybe sometime I'll try it. It's almost like you could probably map it. Like you've got an individual mission on like a static timeline in the third dimension where everything is single. But then every single time you meet another person, it's like you're the center of your own, the hub of a wheel yourself. It's like every person you meet, you become an 11 gateway with that person. But it's for a limited period of time. You know, it's like when we're like married to a person on the timeline in 3. It's like you marry one person, you have one divine partner, and it's for an entire lifetime. It stretches out, and it's just one thing for a really, really long time. And that's the deal. That's the contract. But then it's so interesting that when you go up in geometry, you still have, it's like the time that you're together. See, it's not like you can't have a life contract that's actually deeper and actually more stable because it's more flexible. But then, I don't know, it just seems like there's a time frame change also that allows for flexibility and allows for shorter relationships that are task-based. It's like when your job is done, you get to graduate from each other and move on to the next person. But oddly enough, there's no division. That's the weird thing. It's like you stay connected even though you move. It's like going into another room. And it's a lot less powerful.
Yeah, I resonate with that, and it's because of the fact that I resonate with that I've completely stepped away from the term twin flames, and I see what you're talking about as being mission mates. And you can have a mate for all these different sub-missions, and once the mission is done, it's like the love is still there. With that connection doesn't go anywhere. We'll always be connected at a soul level, but like, I mean, the book, The Alchemist, the whole point, I mean, spoiler alert, but the whole point is like, do you love someone enough to let them go do their highest mission, even if it means that it's not with you?
Yes.
And it's getting to that point of true love and true surrender to it, knowing that you'll always have love in your life because love is multiplied, not divided. That's a quote from a really stupid like TLC show or something like that about polygamy.
It's so true though. Things.
But yeah, it's stuck in my mind because love is multiplied, it's not divided. So that love for that first mission mate still remains, and there's still room open. There's an open field for the next mission mate to step in so that we can reach a higher level of service.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's beautifully expressed. I would admire you. I want to be just that's what I meant to say. That's the way I wanted to do it. Yeah.
Archangel Gabriel's giving me a lot of help.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. What else should we talk? There was something else too. I always think of you like it's like you're my favorite spiritual adult. I always feel so spastic in my own life. Like I know that I'm like, okay, the spiritual master, and I've got this 48 strands of DNA, I've got this massive task, but like half the time I'm like, part of the task is being in this. This is what I was talking to Sarah Adams about last night. We were laughing about it. She really had me. I was laughing so hard. It's absolutely true. It's like when your job amplifies, you just get more to cope with, but it's like you talked about this last night, like people who are doing jobs at different places, it's not I know you know what I mean, it's not a value-based hierarchy at all. It's just But like, I know that what my task is, and she and we were sharing this yesterday, where she's got like the galactic, she's doing something on a galactic scale too. And we were saying how, like, there are people that um, we see, we see kind of passing us in, like it's like their missions are getting accomplished, and we're still like at the base level, like down in the valley. And it's part of it because we picked up a task to do that. It's so enormous. I'm so glad I have her. I go to, I talk to, and I don't know very many. I think I know like maybe 5 people total. And I'm really in touch with about 3 or 4 of them that I know are doing the same kind of job, and we're all like, it doesn't look like we're doing it. It doesn't look like we're having any success at all. We know that we're like the first ones. We were kind of the first ones really, really, really early, and we're going to be the last ones to actually get our job completed because it's like the radius of the circle, or the circle, the amount that we're trying to accomplish is so huge. So it's like getting a lot of people through the gateway. It's like, I don't know, I'm explaining this badly, but it's kind of like we're the first ones to be called and the last ones to arrive at the end, just because we're going ahead and then going around and doing the whole circumference. And where was I going with this comment? I forgot. It's important though to kind of touch base. And yeah, sometimes you let someone go, and like I caught back up with Sarah Adams last night, and it's like we're on a very similar job. We're basically doing the same job, but I haven't spoken to her in a while. This is where I was going with this. I haven't spoken to her for a time, and then when I finally got back up with her, it's like you see each other in passing, like, oh my God, thank God it's you. How's your part of it going? At any rate, I find that there's a real sense of homecoming. You know how like when you meet, like you can really identify your mission to one or your job. Like, yeah, I'm with you. We're both on the same task, and we're like oxen in a yoke together. And I could just pick up with her and like not really miss a beat. But we spend all this time apart. But there's not any real sense of division either, ever, and it's never any kind of formal goodbye. It's like you hang up the phone, you're like, I might see you tomorrow, I might see you in a couple of months. We don't have to formalize any of it. It's all fluid.
Yeah, you know what, that as I close these windows here, someone is doing landscaping. That feels very much like what we have going on in the Coco Polo group, but the work, because we're so, like in contrast to that, we're so close to each other, and the communication is constant. So it feels like the work is just so rapid. We're doing so much work in such a short time frame. And it feels like that's the point of the group is because there was an acceleration that was needed for the piece that we're holding as a soul group. And a lot of it, from my perspective, at least what I'm working on, the piece I'm holding within that group is about sovereignty. And it's like, we need to really do some rewrites so that we can bring sovereignty and freedom as a, as a more foundational energy in people's lives, and getting them to claim it back, all the pieces that have been scattered, that have been given to systems and to figures, calling it back. And so by connecting with the people in this Coco Polo group, it feels like that's just happening so quickly. So many interconnections within me are being made, so many connections. Like, I'm on with you now, and I feel like that's because I got activated by them to reach out to you, to have the first call, and like now it feels like everything's just sort of popping and moving, and like I'm exactly where I need to be.
Mm-hmm. I totally get it. So interesting because they always work. It's amazing. It's like divine timing, and there are all of these different rotating strata, and it's like carousels that we're trying to get it all lined up. And then every once in a while, something will click, and it's like, okay, now is the time for the next circle to come in. It is amazing the way things are connecting lately. It's going
Yeah.
so much. So tell me about the there was actually some you had talked about AI programs specifically, and then I want to go back to telepathy because we were talking about group dynamics and telepathy specifically, like group dreaming. How's that? I would imagine that within the group that you're talking about, what's interesting to me, the thing that stuck out when you mentioned it, because I'm always looking at harmonics and numbers, and every force evolves a form, and Coco Polo has 4 O's in it, and an O is a 0, so it's like God source, and 4 is for structure, so it's like a group of, it's a it has that energy in the group name altogether already. I just think that's kind of cool. Yeah, but what were you talking about? You were saying something about AI, the twin flame. Yes, we were talking about this yesterday, about if you can get out, you're strong enough to be out. That's what I think we were talking. So if you can remember what we were saying, that's amazing.
Well,
we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, so I think I should back up and do a bit of a deep dive here in how what I've come to see and to understand as being what I have to work in and with. So there are all different kinds of power structures on this planet, obviously. What has captured my attention, because I was closest to it, was the celebrity twin flame thing. Structure. So on one level, that actually exists as an organic template. That is actually does exist as a thing in the here and now, because the energy that we're in is such where you had to have souls come in and infiltrate the power structure. And I mean, I'm talking about celebrities, but you could also talk about politics and economic figures and this and that. But there had to be a soul. Right. Okay. Anyone with a population that looks up to them and relies on them and feeds energy to them. So you had to have souls come in and infiltrate that top layer, and then they had to have their energetic equal, you could call it a twin flame, who comes in and into a different strata, so that you could put the mountain in the valley, as you say.
Yes, exactly.
And so that exists as a real thing. The way that that this planet was set up to run as a system is that the artificial intelligence was set up in such a way to move energy from organic systems to inorganic systems that cannot generate their own energy. So this is done from a place of logic and from a place of just simply what is the most efficient way of doing this. And so now there is a program running that is based in the energy field of the true twin flame template, where one comes in at this strata, one comes in at this strata, and then they merge it. So this artificial system is such where it's designed to remove energy and to remove sovereignty and to remove self-awareness from the organic being that's down here and that's grasping up. So a lot of people who feel especially drawn to a particular celebrity, like Prince had a lot of these followers, had a lot of women, men, creatures, and everyone just clamoring to him, saying he's in my dreams. I feel so connected to him. I know that he's my partner in this and that. And they can't all be Prince's twin flame, right? So I think what was happening there for a lot of those people is that there was a system in place whereby energy was going from the lower strata of organic beings who are living in their hearts, right? Because the organic means you're in your heart, you're in tune with your soul, you still have that God connection. The inorganic means you don't have that God connection and you cannot create and generate this energy. So of course, in order for the inorganic structure to exist, it has to take energy from the from the organic. And so that was just a program that has been running as a mechanism of moving energy. But the thing is that means that those organic beings are trapped in that program. And that's a problem, because we're just in a time on this planet where we need freedom and sovereignty now to get people from the lower dimensions into the higher dimensions. They just simply have to be sovereign. And that's why, I mean, as you'll notice, a lot of these quote unquote twin flame gurus have now have come to the understanding and preaching that you can't get into twin flame union with your partner if you're not sovereign within yourself.
If you're not sovereign.
Why is that? Right,
yeah,
because
and your first creation is yourself. Also, I think it's so interesting that you know, in the lower strata, like you and I were talking about this too, where there's like this like there's this obsessive, there's like a rotation that's built into the structure itself that causes repeat thinking. It produces a suction that draws out anguish. Like, I really wanted to make that point. Like, it makes you very needy and very cravey and very, it's designed to milk anguish. It's like, what,
Yes.
but what's interesting is that it's like, that kind of has a judgmental, as I say it, I hear it, it kind of has a judgmental flavor to it, even when I say it, but it's kind of like the AI version of love. It's like, we don't feel it, but it's like this attachment, but it's designed to just give you this, so you are perpetually needy and depressed, and there's no but you're producing fear and anguish and torment, but you also can't get yourself out of it because it's always running in your head and it's always sucking. It becomes, like in the triangle diagram, it doesn't free you, but it pulls you. It's designed to pull you down with such force that only by becoming sovereign are you equal to the point of the triangle of the darkness. And when you are able to withstand it, then you're strong enough. It goes back to the geometry of, like, there's a point at the top, there's a diamond, and then there's a point at the bottom. The point at the bottom is darkness in a singularity. Like, you start out as a singular, you're trying to get out. You meet the twin, or whoever the partner is, and you become trapped in that cycle. And only when you're sovereign enough and strong enough to get out of it, it comes with a certain amount of spiritual maturity and strength enough to rise. And then when you finally break out, it's like, okay, now now you've done it. Like, you're ready to graduate to the next level.
Yeah, and that's why it's allowed to stand, is because it is a learning system. It's a place where you're going to go through that spin cycle and keep generating that codependency, that anguish energy to feed this system until you break out of it and achieve that a new level of mastery within yourself.
Spin cycle, yes. It's like centrifugal force. I remember feeling that a lot at the beginning a couple of years ago. Like, I can't get out of this. I just keep going around and around, and I want to, and it's like, I've missed my window. Oh crap, I'm sucked back in, and you keep trying to do it. The other thing that you said the other day that I really haven't been able to stop thinking about, it was fascinating. You had talked about why we're here, where it's like set it and forget it. It's like the children were planted by AI and then the parents left. That's
right.
Yeah, could you repeat
And
that?
I mean, full disclosure, I kind of feel like I am among the souls who sort of said it and created these AI programs and said, oh, this should be good for this planet. We'll just set this in place and that in place.
Me
This
too.
is a learning planet. We want these people to go. Yeah, which is probably why we feel so connected. We want to create certain experiences here so that, it's all for the sake of learning. So let's set in place these artificial intelligence structures and programs that these people can just run through, and then we'll just we'll step away. And what we didn't, hands off, and what we didn't realize is that that was tantamount to giving the toddlers the keys to the Cadillac, which is something that Christy Birch likes to say. She's the person who created Coco Polo, And it's just like, that's such a perfect line that resonates with me so much. We gave the toddlers the keys to the Cadillac. We stepped away, and what we came back here to set right was, we had to truly get that there is such a thing as spiritual maturity. There is such a thing as the superiority of the heart and soul
Yes.
over the inorganic, lack of heart, lack of soul, not understanding love, thinking that codependency is love because that's just the only way that you can code it into that
Attachment. Yeah.
program. Hmm. And so we had to come back, and that's what we do a lot of in Coca-Cola, was like these rewrites. So like, that didn't work. That's not working anymore. We need to lift up this whole planet. So that program needs to be done. To take
Yeah.
it into a bit of a deeper place, which is what you and I talked about the other day, is, you were saying it's like a Monsters Inc. Type of, I get a lot of my references from movies. Movies and music, but it's like a Monsters Inc. type of situation where the fear is the currency, and like the anguish and that energy being ginned up from organic beings, especially beings who are high vibrational, such as children, that is a currency in itself. And
Yeah.
so when we see things in the news about Jeffrey Epstein and the island and what was happening
Right.
there, to our organic hearts and souls, it's heart-wrenching. It's
Mm-hmm.
awful. And we feel all of these energies of sorrow and pity and rage and all of this. What I have come to see is like, take a step back from that and understand that what is causing that is an artificial intelligence system that sees that as the most efficient way of moving
Mm-hmm.
energy from
Yep.
an organic system to an inorganic system to the system. It's all very logical, which is exactly why we can no longer have these systems running this planet, which is
Right.
hence the toddlers with the keys analogy.
Yep.
So the ones who are the organic beings who have achieved a certain level of soul mastery have to take back the power, take back the keys, and say, no, we're not doing this anymore. We cannot let this stand, and we're writing a new way.
And it's like in my experience, it's like half and half. It's like you can have a little bit of it, but you can't be the ones with like the ultimate. That's why, like on the Council of Balance, it's about half and half. It's like you're gonna figure out a way to play it so that we bring it back to balance. And it was a matter of like it just got completely out of hand, and then you had to go back in and get things to run in a way so that it would destroy itself so that we could get a heart-based system back into it. But it had to
Mm-hmm.
self-destruct, like it has to go to an extreme so it breaks. There's a whole thing,
Right.
speaking of, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, Joanna. Um,
Hi, Joe.
so funny. I was just recently watching Ralph Breaks the Internet, and I actually watched it like 3 times. I was led to it. It's not exactly my taste, but I watched it anyway, and then I started to watch the symbolism in it. That's usually what happens. Like my guides will tell me to go see something, and then when I see it, I'll be like, oh, I see what we're actually looking at. There's an additional level of if you watch it through the eyes of symbolism. I got to the end and I was like, oh, in fact, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely see that. Ralph,
I've seen it.
at the end where they've got like that little trailer, like at the very end where it's all about imbalance and going into a new system, like the ones who don't adjust, who don't adapt fast enough. She goes off she goes off by herself into a new realm where it's like more adult, and it suits her more. She moves to a new level, but she has to leave him behind. But the interesting thing I thought was that at the very end, baby Moana is sitting in the toddler seat of the car. There's like that little clip at the very, very end, and her mother tells her to play a game. And so she plays a game, and the job is to feed either pancakes or milkshakes to like a rabbit or kitten. It's like one gets one and one gets the other, and it's a sorting process. It's like separating the wheat from the chaff. This gets this, this gets this, this gets this, this gets this,
anyway, Ralph comes on. He wants to play. There's a huge amount of pancakes, and he feeds them all to one side. Something is broken because it goes out of balance. Is the entire point, and it blows up her game. And she's the toddler in the car seat, and she cries because her game is busted because it goes out of balance. That was the
So what's interesting is that I woke up this morning knowing that I was going to mention that all these people screaming about, we want disclosure, not screaming, legitimately holding space for, we want disclosure now, we want disclosure now, holding space for that. Like I can't wait for them to see that, like, disclosure has always been here. They have to tell us how this thing runs, and they do it through movies. Usually they do it through the crappiest movies. Jumanji 2,
that's
Welcome
because
to the
nobody
Jungle or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. But disclosure's there. Yeah. And so it's funny. And so, like, seeing all these whatever movies if you're guided to watch movies, whatever movies, ask your guides, what should I be watching right now? And don't fight it. If it's Jumanji 2, watch it through the eyes of symbolism, as you constantly say. Yeah, because like there's something there that can help you to figure out and piece together how this thing is running and what we're doing here.
And yes, it's so true. And it's so funny. I was also talking with Sarah Adams last night. We were talking about that specifically, trying to find something to watch when you go after entertainment. And she's like, I can't find anything to watch because there will be, like, she's been watching H2O Just Add Water, which is so funny because I don't know other adults, really, not a lot of them, period. But especially a lot of adults who watch like kids shows or because I don't gravitate toward that kind of thing anyway, but my guides will say, go do that. And so she said she watched H2O Just Add Water, which is about teenage birthdays. And we were talking about it, and I was like, oddly enough, I've seen that whole, I did a whole painting to that when I was painting. I had that on the background at one point, and I did an entire painting with that in the background because I like to have it. But the point is, what was my point? My point is, sometimes my guides will tell me to go watch something that, like, I don't even want to see, but I know that I know that there's something in there, and then when I watch it, something will leap out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally understand what that means. It's not my taste, but like what she was saying last night was that there are characters in there. She's like, it wasn't going along really well until this character came in and she's like, I don't like that. And I said, well, this is your chance to rewrite the program from a place of high consciousness, because when you're tapped in and from a place of being a high vibrational being, particularly someone like her who carries like this huge energetic field, you can intend. Like, once your mind is in that story and you're following it, you can say, well, this is what I want to see instead. And you just put your own intention and say, okay, I'm changing the energetic field. Like, it's not the form isn't going to change on the spot. Like, it's not like how many times have you watched something and you're like, well, that's a bad idea. I don't think they should go in that room, or something like, I just think it should go this way instead, or that character's bad. I wish it happened this way instead. But you can actually change, like when I was saying before, the toroidal field, that in my own personal live streams, that your reaction to something changes the next round manifestation when it comes back to you. So it's like, not like you're going to watch the episode again and it's going to be a different manifestation yet. It's like it's already on the film, but the energy of that will change. There's going to be a different energetic platform, and on some level people are going to get a different vibe from it. Like, if I looked at when Moana's game breaks, baby Moana, toddler Moana, in the movie Ralph Breaks the Internet, I could say, well, I would like to, if I wanted to, I could say, well, I want that to continue running and it doesn't go out of balance. It runs beautifully, and because she's baby Moana and she knows how to do it, Ralph doesn't come on. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of work that we do in the Coco Polo group. And if this is resonating with anyone and you want to join, it is. I'll just do a quick pitch here. Feel free to email Christy Birch at. Yeah, no, like if this resonates, this is an open field for anyone who resonates with this kind of work, and who feels called to, to reach out to Christy at coco@cosmicchristi.com. Christy is spelled CHRISTI. coco@cosmicchristi.com. It is on an energetic basis because we're really trying to keep it energetically clean and balanced. So it is offered on a $22 a month basis. Reach out to Christy if you have any questions about that. But we have about like 23 people right now, and with every person who comes in, there's a time of integrating the energies where their field merges with our collective field, and then once like the integration is done, we all go to a whole new level in our work and in our understanding. But anyways. What I was going to say about that is like that's exactly the kind of work that we do, is like understanding that my energy field is so huge as an organic being anyway, and now that I'm hooked up with this group, it's like magnified so much wider. So now my intent is very powerful.
Yes.
And when we as a group put our focused intention as organic creators on a particular thing, that's how we do rewrites.
Exactly. It's really potent. All right.
And especially with things like movies and shows and music and things like that, a lot of those ideas, honestly, were siphoned from the organic beings who just weren't aware of how large their energetic field was. And I used the metaphor that really has been resonating with a lot of people of Dracula, where Dracula is sneaking into the bedroom of the person who's asleep and unawares and dreaming and creating in dream time. And who is Dracula? Dracula already has money. Dracula already has power. Dracula lives in a castle, and yet Dracula is sneaking in, not using the front door, but sneaking in through a window of the mind, you could say, and taking this energy. That's how a lot of these stories get dreamt up by Hollywood or whatever, is that they're actually taking your story. So if you're watching something and it really resonates with you, like it feels like a past life, perhaps it is your story, and by
and there's also all
by
of
reclaiming
this shared dreaming. Like you probably have shared dream. I know that in group dynamics, there's a lot of shared dreaming anyway, where like I've had that happen with both my daughter and like Zoe and I have shared dreams, or things that that happened in my life that were very specific, like a story somebody told me when I was in France when I was 23, and it's a very specific story that I didn't tell somebody, but she dreamt it, but I know that our minds are connected. And she said, I had this dream, and this thing happened in my dream. And I was like, oh, you've got that from my mind. I know that story exactly. It's exactly what happened. But I picked it up. It was something that happened to a friend of mine when I was but that's drifting around in my head. I was just thinking about it, and you picked it up in dream time. And it's so interesting though, where you have to learn, like part of going up in dimension, when the geometry changes, you learn that there can't be ownership, personal ownership. You have to be okay with sharing, like not even okay, but just really into it. Like it has to be a sign. You have to interpret that as a sign of, it's kind of indicative of the level of your own awareness when you're okay with sharing. Like when she said, it was interesting because this person, when she told me this thing, and I said, oh, I know where you got that. Like, I thought it was something good. Like, oh, that means that our minds are linked, and we shared this thing in dream time because I recognize that story exactly. You got that from me.
Right, because that's the true organic template.
Yes. And what was interesting, though, is that in her response to that surprised me, but it's also indicative, not judging it, but it's indicative that she's pointing down and she's still trying to individuate and claim ownership of things, because she's like, well, why couldn't it just be mine? Figures out we just got it from you. She was kind of pissy about it. Like she's vying for ownership of it, but I saw it and like she saw the share as something bad, like it wasn't really hers. But I was thinking, well, no, it was yours and mine, so we like multiplied it. Like, no, it's great. But it's just a different perspective.
Yeah, and she's going through that learning spin cycle
Yeah,
of that.
yes, exactly.
Because the true organic template is that when you're hooked up with your soul monad, yeah, information is not just mine. Like anything that I'm
Not
saying
at
right
all.
now, I can't take personal credit for it. It's, credit also goes to those other 23 other beings who are in this tight knit monadic relationship with me. And is it even really me, or is it we at this point?
It's we.
Like any.
And what it actually means too, it's like I view it anyway as a sign of expansion, because what it really means is that your own channel has gotten broader and wider, and it's like you're able to receive more at a time. The number of people you're able to reach, it's like your own energetic expansion is broader and wider, and you're able to hold that much more in a state of positivity and share more. So I don't know, I view it as being a very, very good thing. And it also allows it's also one of those things where when the whole system is up and running, we're going to be able to pass much larger, like whole works of Shakespeare's. Like linearity is just so incredibly condensed and reduced. Yes, it serves a purpose, but it's so small. This is another thing I was talking to Sarah Adams about last night. That one of the reasons we get physical regeneration, talking about organic versus inorganic, when we move up in strata, everything expands the amount of light expands. We get this constant turning instead of something being static and singular. And our physical bodies are going to be regenerating also with the amount of light it is. It's all about, regeneration. When you have a very, very, very high, strong vibrational field, getting it into a physical body is really difficult and incredibly uncomfortable for so many of us who have just, we were talking about this last night, like we just getting down into a physical form, particularly when it was carbon, is so painful and so difficult. But when we go up, and particularly when we enter into it's like a water wheel or an exchange where it's going to affect your actual physical form too, where you're going to get stronger and lighter and healthier and more refreshed all the time, because every force evolves a form. And then you could also, another thing that happened with Sarah Adams last night is she shared certain light codes for physical restructuring, physical regeneration with me, because I saw her last night and I was like, I feel like crap. I feel like I've been hit with a Mack truck and I'm running all this energy in my body, but I'm really struggling with it. And she stopped when she was doing on the spot and shared these light codes with me. And at the end of the session, I was laughing hysterically. I felt way better. I felt much more relaxed. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's going to happen much more automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Like one person healing can affect a group, and you don't have things tingling anymore at all. It's just all freedom all the time, and it's a hell of a lot more fun.
Right. And because I've caught basically all of your live streams, as I was guided to, because I knew that I had to, I see now that I had to learn from you about group dynamics, because being in a group now, like you said in previous live streams, it's so important to either like not take a shit in the pool or not poop in the soup or something like that.
Yeah.
Where, this is why we've gone through seemingly endless rounds of clearing and personal work. And, if you're still in that place, if you're listening to this and you're still in that place of feeling like all I do is my quote unquote inner work, I'm constantly doing my work, when does it end? It does end.
It does end. Yeah.
What's on the other side is so beautiful, and you see how all that work was so necessary, because there's no way I could have brought my bullshit into this group. It would have affected everyone.
Yeah, because then it just catches on and everybody does. And it's also the way that, like, talk about hive collapse, which we weren't, but it's like one person can like really tank an entire collective if a really negative person was to go in, to a hive or something. There's a way to really cause the entire thing to collapse so fast, because it is picked up, negativity or whatever is picked up by everybody with the speed of one thought. And if you haven't learned to transmute or stabilize for one another, there's just going to be this massive crash. And then you're going to have to start, back where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was the other thing I was going to say? I forgot. We were talking about, the structure of AI being a crib. And that you have to, it's like parenting anything, but like when your kid starts to climb, if they're able to climb out of the crib, the confinement structures, babies need a confinement system to keep them safe. When the time comes when they're sufficiently strong enough that they can get themselves out, that's when you move into a toddler bed, because now they're sovereign enough where you can still have to watch them, but they can run loose in the in the diaper.
So this is actually what I was going to say previously. I'm glad we came back around to it, that a visual that I'm constantly getting is the pendulum, and like that's been my inner work. I think a lot of people can resonate with that, right? Bringing the pendulum back into balance where you honor both sides of it. So previously I was on the one side of the pendulum where I was just complete sovereignty. You can't keep anyone from their lessons. You can't interfere. Not complete non-interference in what's going on in someone else's life. And then bringing the pendulum back into balance, I see that, like, yes, of course, sovereignty is the goal. Sovereignty is necessary to move, continue to move up the ladder towards mastery. But also, there is such a thing as a spiritual adult, a spiritual toddler, and those aren't wrong. A toddler is not wrong for being a toddler. That's just where they're at. An adult is not wrong for being an adult. That's just where they're at.
Free reign. You're like, tap your brakes. You stop there. Go back and sit down in the chair.
Right.
Yeah.
And
totally.
So those who are carrying those huge energy fields do have a responsibility for how they're setting up those energy fields, and what is the cleanliness of that energy field, because there are a lot of people riding in your stream.
Yes, exactly. That's enough. I just wish. Yeah, exactly. That's the way I wished I said it. Yeah, totally. Like, I'm driving the bus. But it's so interesting the way I know you wind up pissing a lot of people off that way too, which you just have to learn. Like, sometimes your kid's just going to get really pissed at you. Or, they're going to get really mad when the parental figure, which they don't recognize as their parental figure because they think that they make the rules and this is the way it's done and we're going to throw a tantrum. So they get really mad very often. Yeah, I have said this before in the live streams that when you're a spiritual baby, you try to control, you really want to control as much as possible. But the interesting thing is that when you go up and everything is much more expansive, you try to take as little control over other people as possible, but you only step in when it's absolutely necessary. And that's the inverse or obverse of what happens in the lower range, where they try to control everything, and only when they have to, they let other people make a choice. But to escalate, development by giving people as much freedom as possible and give them enough room to hang themselves. Basically, then you're going to find water seeks its own level. So we're just going to see where you go, and I'm only going to step in if you're really genuinely about to head off the cliff out of ignorance. Which happens a lot, though. It's kind of, it really is kind of amazing. Like, man, you just took yourself right back there, didn't you? We are going through this. Really, I love being a preschool teacher. It's like, this is a good job for me altogether, because like en masse, I feel like that's basically, I never left that job. Like, I left that position, but I feel like you just kind of, they're like little drunk people, like little 2 or 3 people, like they race around, they just not, they make every mistake, but they're so cute. I don't like tantrums, but sometimes, you watch spiritual babies, like, wow, you're really going to do that again. Yeah, aren't you? Yeah, you're going to do that again. That's fascinating. We're going to steer you back in this direction. And no, Oh, there goes the cereal. You know, you did it again. Oh, fascinating.
Hmm.
But they really do want, it's so interesting the way they try. I get this a lot. If you try to, and I'm sure, you know, all of us do, who do this work, where like family members or people, they are so convinced that you are doing everything wrong when you try to go outside the system, like you're coloring outside the line. No, you can't do this, and they will inflict all sorts of punishments on you because the third dimension is all about self-imprisonment, which I always find fascinating. Like that really is that's a fairly cool strategy for self-confinement. It's only when you're really like you see through the bullshit, you're like, no matter what you do, I'm gonna go over here. And again, but it always goes back to the triangle. Like if you I lost it there.
Oh, you froze. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Back.
yeah, it like going off to the triangle again. It's like if the broad side of the triangle is over here, you have to be strong enough. If that's the crowd side, you have to be strong enough as an individual to depart from the crowd. The crowd is really going to pull you in this direction. Or it's like a bow and arrow. It's like you're going to have to be strong enough to face this resistance and say, no matter what this crowd, my family, all of these people who are inflicting these parameters on me, they threaten me with stuff. You know, if you've got to go out and you've got to do this and this and this and this and this, and we're all going to dislike you and punish you and call you names, etc. If you don't play with this program, you've got to be able to depart from your entire crowd and be strong enough to leave them all behind and say, I love you, but I am going to go do this thing no matter what you say. And, you
Hmm.
know, and go all
I'm
the way
getting
over there.
I'm getting the visual of like you're in the stream, but you're using a spear to make a little point with the eye of a needle just out of the side of the stream, so that you can get yourself through. And like the current is trying to pull you back, and you're just like, I just have to get through that little tiny place because I need to set a new stream.
Yeah.
And then the more people flow into that, the wider it gets, and then that becomes the dominant stream.
And that's why the forerunners are really the ones who face the most resistance, because the groove, like the stream bed, is flowing really heavily in the one direction. And you just like from the position of that place, exactly the perfect analogy, trying to go this way at like as a salmon, you got to go upstream and also make a new stream on land when you're a fish. You know, that like the
Hmm.
forerunners really have to be pointy and very determined,
Hmm.
and really, really strong. Like the forerunners are really, really strong. Um, but we take everybody else with us when we go. Sometime, so I always say this, like about my kids too. Like someday they're gonna, like when your kids grow up, you're gonna see us. You're gonna see why we did the things we did. You're gonna hate me now, but you'll
Hmm.
you just have to know what you know and be committed to your own truth and say, I don't care if the rest of the planet hates me or if all of these people can't stand me. We're gonna go do this thing. You're all gonna hate me now, or if you do, whatever. I'm going to be this spiritual adult and make decisions on your behalf. But it's so funny, I know that there is this process of questioning. I watch this dynamic all the time because there really is a thing like as above, so below. We're doing the exact same thing that the control structure does in the bottom, like as above, so below. And what I usually say, but then I do the opposite too, because the opposite is also true. You know how you can say you can't have one rule that applies to somebody else, but it doesn't apply to you. But sometimes you can. Sometimes you have to go back down and say, okay, in this situation, I could do it, but you can't do it because you can't do it. There is actually a rule that applies to me, and it doesn't apply to me down here because you're still a spiritual baby. And I think the wisdom you have to have enough wisdom to know, like, really question yourself the entire time. You test, you're constantly walking in a state of question. Is this right? Is this right? You're feeling everybody is, how are we all doing? How are we all doing? How are people responding? How well is everyone doing? And am I really doing the right thing? And then when you're certain that you're actually doing the right thing, and you're also willing to accept the consequences. Like, if I make a mistake, I know it's mine. And I know
Right.
that, like, that's the thing. You have to really know that the buck stops with you. And you're responsible for it. You have to really be willing to take that on. And that's why people in these kinds of positions, we walk constantly as a necessary part of just the way you have to operate. It constantly stays in a state of field of functioning when you're constantly taking the temperature of the emotions and feel like find a way through the dynamic of, am I leading everybody astray? What is going to be the consequence for everyone else if I make this decision? But then when you're certain, you have to have enough confidence that you're going to really be firm when it matters, when it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to deviate from this. I'm doing this.
Right, and to me, that's why sovereignty is so key, is being able to say, I need to block out all other external pushing and
Yeah.
pulling influences, all other stimuli, go within, and be committed to what I find in my own discernment, in my heart, in my soul, regardless of how other people feel about it, regardless of whether or not it is the dominant stream of the time, and all of that, because like you're saying, there's a flip side to every coin. Everything, every construct, every program, it is a coin. There is a positive organic side. There is an inorganic negative side. So, like seeing it from that.
And both have a right to exist. Like, that's the thing. We don't have the right to annihilate everything. You have to give it enough to live and thrive. Like, that's really the thing. It's so tempting sometimes to find something that you don't like and say, okay, well, like, kind of like if you look at the yin yang, like, okay, I prefer the light side. I'll give the dark side this little teeny little dot in the middle. I'll give you that. But I really prefer but there is balance. You just have to know that on the other side, there's the same ratio. And you just have to watch it and monitor it, and you don't have the right to annihilate everything. And part of the wisdom is making sure the other side is going to be able to thrive equally. Yeah, there's the balance.
Yeah, because, and then again, that's giving these other beings their sovereignty to learn. Other beings simply have to learn, and we can't take away their sandbox wherein they learn, maybe by eating a bunch of sand and realizing,
Right.
oh crap, that's not food, that's not water, but they had to experience that to know that, and so you can't take their sandbox away from them.
Yeah, or get mad at them. Although we do. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that again. You are such a jerk. Go away. Yeah, totally. All right. What else? Please write a book. I would love it if you wrote a book someday. Yeah.
I am like a dream weaver. I create stories in my daydreams, and then they're like they pop up as movies, but also they are teaching me how to navigate the next phase of my life. Like, I'm already writing my story before I get there.
Yes.
So that when I get there, I can just pull up in my brain the file of, okay, this is that story. And so in that story, because my stories are all about, it's always me, and it's always like the most noble, version of me that always makes the right decisions and always says the right things and chooses the right person. And so I just tap into that story. And that, so like, there is something with me about crafting a story. I don't know if that's going to translate onto paper ever, but there's something in that.
I hope it does. I hope it does. I'm going to visualize you doing that, because I would love to see that. Also, what I really like about that is that that's the way it's supposed to work. Like, there are people in the world who you know, like what was that movie? I actually didn't see it. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but it was like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where like he's somewhat mocked for having these fantasies of being a hero. But I think personally, I call bullshit on that, because if you're going to imagine something, why the hell would you imagine yourself as a piece of crap or anything like that has a lower standard or a lower aim? Don't do that. You know, the job, you should have the highest aspiration in mental creative space and imagine the highest and the best and the most, you know, feel it real and really put all of your energy into that, because that's what's going to bring it, you know, the new world into form. And we need a network of people who support one another and focus in that way. I think
Yeah, make yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
create yourself. Perfect. Yeah, I wrote that. All right. What else do we have to say? Are we done? Are we to close, or should we keep talking?
Let me tap
I
back
feel like
in.
there was something. I felt like there was something else. I should have taken notes in our conversation. I always say this in all of my sessions with people. Lately, it's just happening more and more. Where now that I know how to share a screen, I'm going to see if I could go back to doing more talks with other people, because I speak to the most fascinating people. I always think that, like, wow, other people would really benefit from this. I think this is a fantastic thing if we get on and share stories, etc. And I'm really glad that you're the second split screen thing that I've done. Now we know how it works.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if we really went into mission mate versus divine partnership.
Oh yeah, do that. What do you have to say?
So because I've definitely stepped away from the twin flame label, because it has been so co-opted by, like, in this inorganic system that's been running to sort of keep people in a spin cycle. I've separated myself from that, and now I see it in like a Venn diagram where they can overlap. So it's divine partnership and mission mate in my experience and in my discernment, where mission mate is you come together for a high level of service. It's everything in your universe is driving you to be with this person to accomplish this thing. And sure, maybe there's love, maybe there's romance, but it's about the mission.
Yeah.
And there's this soul signature that you have to hook up with in order to accomplish that, because it's a pre-incarnate contract or mutual decision
and
that you both agree to come in.
Like there are certain contracts that are basically inescapable, like particularly with life mission, like it came down to accomplish this thing. And it's going to happen regardless. Like some soul contracts are, it's like when I talk about miscarriage in one of my live streams, like sometimes like you'll just change your mind and like I was going to meet you here, but I decided not to. But then there's certain like major pivotal ones that are really important and there's no way to miss them, particularly if they're karmic in nature.
Right, and because usually they're about setting a new stream, setting a new current, and there's a lot of souls behind you that are relying on you and rooting for you to get that done and get that set so that they can hook in. So it's not just about you
it's
two.
Not about,
it's about everyone
you.
behind you.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So there's the mission.
That's where some of the urgency comes from too. It's like I know with mine, like I was supposed to start this school, and there's like I feel the amount of pressure. Like if I don't accomplish, like the amount of pressure behind me is huge. It's just like there's an entire army, and they're like, "Go!" You know, and I'm like, like I have to be. I know what I'm doing is, but like it's not forgetting things and just the sheer energetic. There's a lot. You have to. There's a certain amount of dark resistance too. Sometimes, so like the amount, because everything is about opposing forces in quantity. With certain ones of like these humongous life missions, where it's like it's easier to get the single. Like as the point of the needle, it's much easier to get through if it's just you. But
Hmm.
it's coming through like you are the point, like the Joan of Arc said, like I said, I was the horn of the rhinoceros, but there's an entire rhinoceros behind me that's providing the propulsion, and I'm just like the horn and van, and like I take the brunt of it, but it's the force is coming from everything behind me. I really feel that. But you
Hmm.
need to met with a symbol an equal amount in opposition. So it's almost like the ones, that's the reason that those of us who have like these behemoth tasks where it's so strong, you're met with the same amount of resistance. And it can just, sometimes it can be wrong.
Right, right. And then on the other side of the Venn diagram, I see as divine partnerships, which are honored and are necessary on this planet to bring in new love templates. Some people are here to enter into divine partnerships so that they can heal, for a whole group around codependency or around, the old ideas of what the masculine does, what the feminine does. um,
Exactly.
you know where they can heal around, what does partnership look like? Does it look like living in the same house, or does it not? Does it look like not living in the same house, but still honoring that we are divine partners? And some people are here to rewrite it from a place of like polyamory. And I know some people who feel it is their calling to enter into multiple divine partnerships and hold all of those at the same time to show a new way of defining love, a new way of expressing love, and their soul
Expansion. Yeah.
signature. Yeah, their soul signature is such that they can hold these multiple streams of love, giving and receiving to and from multiple sources, and hold it all into balance. And that's honored as well. Yeah.
And one of the
What
things
were you
that
gonna say?
that does too is that it honors choice. Like there has been in the past, it's almost kind of like you have to go. There's a certain amount of overcorrection that is needed sometimes in order to, like applying the inverse wave to reach a place of 0 point. So if no choice has been, if your choice was limited in the past, in the traditional model of marriage, for example, if you're limited to one person for the entire duration, has a certain amount of history behind it, where it's a very, very, very deep groove. And in order, even if your choice is not necessarily polyamory, a soul might choose to have some sort of a task for a duration of time that goes into some sort of a polyamory situation in order to apply the inverse wave so that it actually reaches a place of balance and provides a choice. Because you're just trying to undo some of the damage. Like we need choice to be an option. We need to reduce even from like a karmic position. Like if you are somebody who has a history of inflicting a lot of control on others, you might choose to, I don't know, there could, any number of huge algebra, algebra to everything. Um, but I could see why that would, even if your choice is toward one partner, you might, a polyamory type of situation, it's setting the template where choice is possible. And just saying that, and that if choice is sacred. So now you're encoding that into the field, and that's a tremendous gift. Even if you want to choose to remain with one partner, have only one sexual partner, one only, one a marriage type situation.
So I think the point is what we're talking about, just to sort of wrap it up into a nice, neat little package, is that we're like and appreciating the diversity and what we're all here, the energy that we're all here to hold, and all the
Yeah,
disparate flavors of energy that we're all here to hold, and not saying, the twin flame dynamic only looks like this. That's why I
right.
got away from that label, because so many
Yeah,
people have such set ideas as to one thing that it looks like.
yeah,
And that's not what this planet needs. We don't need one flavor. We need all the different flavors. We're treating this thing like Baskin Robbins. We're doing the
right.
31 flavors, and we're all
Three
going
one.
to,
There's the 3-1.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we're going to, that's how we get back into balance as a planet.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, what else was there? What else was there good? It's funny. I just made that I just made another connection there as you said that. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not important to anybody but me, but yeah, I won a Baskin Robbins national poster contest when I was in kindergarten. I won 31 free ice cream cones because but it's interesting that it was 31 free something that I won. And I won that when I was 5 and 5 for change. I don't know, everything, every single thing is connected and there's absolutely nothing that's random. Um,
Hmm.
and I remember that I took my class out to Baskin Robbins and everybody got free ice cream. Everybody got free ice cream. That's cool. Okay. Let's see. What else did we have to say? I think that was
I feel like that was the bulk of it. I'm just trying to see if anything else wants
anything
to
else
come
comes
in.
in. Anybody
Hmm.
else want to say, is there anyone have any questions who's watching? So far, no. It feels
I know we
complete.
had, yeah, it does. I know we had a couple Coco Poloers on, so I want to thank them for the
Oh,
energy
good.
that they brought to the stream. And again, I may have been the only face on here representing that group, but it was all of our energy coming through.
Isn't that cool when that happens? Like, I know I say that all the time, like it's me, but I'm a group. I feel like I
Hmm.
don't even identify as a single person anymore. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of people in the third dimension who will say you're crazy, you're schizophrenic or whatever, but I'm thinking, well, whatever. I'm a group and you're not, and I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's the organic positive side of the coin, of the beehive coin. So there is a positive, way in which that can show up, where you're all sharing intelligence, and each person's individual gifts are adding to the whole hive collective. Then there's the negative side, which you know. I wrap myself in divine love and protection as I say this, but the whole Beyonce beehive thing is very negative, very inorganic. It's very much a mind control type of thing, and it's allowed to stand right now for learning purposes. But we've got to. I feel like as part of speaking this right now is helping people to identify within themselves, giving them the opportunity to have that activation moment of, oh, have I been giving my power away to this inorganic system because I
Mhm.
was gravitating toward it because it felt resonant, but was I going towards the inorganic side when I should or like could be going towards the organic side of it?
That's the thing. Like there are these sacred choice points. Like the twin flame thing is a totally sacred. It serves a purpose. I can totally see why you gravitate toward there because it's like souls recognize truth. So like you sniff around and you find this gateway, you find this initial gateway, and then that becomes a sacred choice point. Like the whole twin flame dynamic, the reason it's a label and it's a um, you find these groups on YouTube. I think Mel Brand calls them Teapot and Tarot, which I watch a lot of them. Like it serves a purpose and it's very informative about what's happening on that strata. And there's a reason that we're drawn there. We're drawn there because we want love. It pulls you in, but then you've got a sacred choice point, and the place where you make the choice is how are you going to view it? Like that's a fascinating thing. Like it becomes really difficult sometimes to tell like which side is negative and what's really going on, and they mirror each other so closely. It's incredibly difficult. So that's the point, though. That I'm so glad I kept talking because I forgot to mention this. The place where you're gonna, if you get to a point where mentally you try to, like I've totally been here, where you're weighing like both sides and you're trying to figure it out, like which side is which side is which. I can't figure out which side is which because they look basically identical, and there's an inside-outside flip. The way that the thing that's going to be the determining factor, that's why we're saying like lead with your heart. If you do, the thing that's going to be the determining factor is your own vibrational drift. That's where the law of attraction is going to pull you more toward one side or another. So the only way to get out is to do your inner work. Because if you yourself are still in darkness and discontent and despair and confusion and anger and need or whatever, if you still are carrying that, it's going to keep you in the dark side. If you have purified yourself and you've reached your level of sovereignty, then you're automatically going to be drawn by virtue of light vibration to the side that's more organic and love-based, and that's what's going to lift you up and out of the AI program. It's going to help you get out of basically the criticism, the matrix system, and you're going to be swept up instead of back down into a whirlpool. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. We should do this again.
Yeah.
I think that's fabulous. All right. Are we done? Anybody?
Yeah.
All right. I love you all. I'm going to put this up. If you want to go watch this again, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, The Ascension Arc. And you can look for, you can follow me on Facebook, Stephanie R. Hogarth. And if you have any questions or topics of conversation that you might like to see more information about, feel free to shoot me a message, because I would love to have you get that up, and other people too, if you feel that you want to have a discussion with a split screen, because now we know how to do it. Okay, I love you all. I'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks.